how would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Joshua with us. And growing up in a divorced family was always a negative topic in the life of Joshua. And after receiving a degree in actuarial science, that he had to explain me what is that because I don't know what is it. He discovered that financial advisors are in sales and don't know the ins and outs of investing. That's when Joshua made the mission to educate Americans on the best way to grow the wealth. So tell us, Joshua, what are the 5 steps of that the entrepreneur should be doing out there in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Well, thank you, Harry, for having me on and the warm welcome. I enjoyed our little chat before hopping on. I mean, if your goal is just to make a lot of money, you're probably not going to do it. You have to first identify the problem, figure out how to solve the problem better than other people. Then you have to figure out how to do it on a recurring revenue basis versus just a salesperson where you make a sale, then you got to make another sale. Then as you do it, you got to make the process better. And then essentially you just got to keep doing that over and over again until you get to where you want to be. So enjoying the boring work is where success is found. And a lot of people don't like doing the boring work. And that's the most challenging thing, is doing the same thing over and over again with the same conviction. It's kind of like when your favorite musical artist gets sick of singing the same songs, but their audience loves the same songs when they go to a concert. So how can an artist who's sang the same song a billion times still have the same enthusiasm when they're singing that song again?
Yeah. And then what else, Joshua? We have 3 steps. We have 2 left.
Oh, that was all 5.
How are the 5? Oh, wow. Very good.
Identify the problem,
Uh-huh.
solve the problem better than everyone else, figure out how to make it recurring, make their process better, and then just keep doing that over and over.
Very good. Okay, so we have the 5 steps. So Joshua, we don't teach financial education at the school. And this is a big problem because we have a large amount of entrepreneurs and and people in general that they go out there and they trade the time for money. Meaning you go out there, you work 8 hours very hard in whatever your job is, and then you get paid. Whether there is another way of doing things, which is right that you go and work and get that money. The other thing is that you can put the money working for you. So now you don't have to go and work 8 hours. Money doesn't get tired. Money doesn't take days off. And it's better that the money go and work and you stay at home, right? So is that why people think that this is not possible? Um, and what advice do you have for our listeners in terms of the big flow that we have in financial education, that we don't learn this in school? Then we become entrepreneurs and still nobody knows the principles about investing. And the result is that people work really, really hard and make very little money, no?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't have any skills in the beginning, you're going to have to trade your time for money. And then you're going to have to decide what you do with that money as you receive it. Most people will receive, they get paid, let's just say, they get paid a certain amount, and then they live at that amount. And then as their pay goes up, they just keep increasing their lifestyle. When I started out, I was living with 3 other roommates, even though I was making probably a lot more than mostly everyone. And by doing that, I kept my costs down. all of my rent, all my utilities, all my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
housing expenses were split 4 ways. I was able to save up money. And then once I saved up enough money to be able to leave a job, that's when I left corporate America. So it took me from 2013 until 2017 is when I was able to leave corporate America. And when I did it,
Wow. Wow.
everyone said I was stupid because they're like, you're making good money. Why would you give that
Mm-hmm.
up?
Uh, but then Joshua, what happened is that since you left corporate American, something switched within yourself. Is that when you were working corporate America, would you go in there and you trading your time for money? They were paying you very good money. Yeah, they give you, you have day holidays, but still you need to go there Monday to Friday and work for the money, despite that was very good money. Yeah. But what happened is that after 2017, something changed and you decided that, well, now Monday to Friday, I'm not gonna go in and work and get money. I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna send my money to work for me. It's gonna be working the whole week, 24/7, and then I will work because I want to, not because I have to. And I will work only finding the right vehicles and the right investment opportunity to put the money to go and work for you. So people, a lot of people are listening this podcast and they are trapped in this golden cage of corporate America or corporate in general, and they're
Hmm.
listening to you and now they say, well, I wish that I have the courage to do what Joshua did, because now you have time, you have freedom, you have you own your own business, right? And they're still they are in the job, which with in corporate completely different. You have to be very good at one thing,
Hmm.
and the problem with that is that make you unemployable. The day that they tell you that we don't need you anymore, now you're out in the marketplace and you only have one skill, whether as entrepreneur, because we need to know a little bit about accounting, about marketing, about sales, about how to run a business. I think if I had to apply for a job, yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years, but if I had to apply for a job, I don't even know how to do what to apply, because I can do sales, I can do marketing, I can do so many things. I'm done it from scratch because proven with my own business. So at the end of the day, Joshua, um, where do you find this courage to leave corporate America, and what message do you have for people trapped in the golden cage that still hasn't find this courage, and what made you actually uh, take the decision?
Well, there was nothing else to learn, and I just felt like I was going in and doing the same thing every day.
Yeah, but
And
you're making good money. You're very comfortable,
yeah, but
very safe actually.
I mean, you
You
could
go
still have
Monday to
fun.
Friday. You don't need to worry about after Friday. You don't need to worry about anything. Saturday and Sunday off. I mean, you have
Yeah,
a month
well,
holiday
you
or
you
two,
could
three
you could
weeks. I don't know.
still have fun with no money.
I agree with you 100%.
You don't need money to have
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Very good.
When you treat money as a limited resource and you don't have a lot of it, it allows you to get creative. So
Mm-hmm.
when I left corporate
100%.
America, I had a certain amount of money, and now I went from making money to making no money. So
Wow.
now I have to figure out how to make money.
Wow.
Um, so you have to save up enough and figure out what problem do you want to solve? How are you going to solve it? Is it something that people have asked you to do? I mean, there's typically clues. Like if you have friends ask you to do something that you're good at and you keep helping them for free, you're like, all right, well, I must be good at this. But now you
Mhm.
have to start asking people for money. And sometimes people can have an issue asking for money because people are going to be like, no, I don't want to pay. And then it's like, oh, crap, I could have helped that person. At the same time, though, without an investment, you can't get a return. So if you're doing everything for free, you're never going to get any sort of investment. You're not going to get any return on what you're looking to accomplish out in the real world outside of the what were you saying, golden cage.
Yeah. Uh, and then Joshua, we have
um
go ahead.
so I mean, What's the worst that could happen? That you lose everything that you saved for? I mean, it's just stuff. However, a lot of people identify who they are with what they have,
Mm-hmm. And if
and
you
you have
can
to let
able
all
to
that go.
disattach, exactly, 100%. If you can disattach, uh, and also some basic concepts like don't get yourself full of overheads, because if you work in corporate America and then you buy an expensive house, which is a liability because you're living on this, and then you buy an expensive car that depreciates every year, and you start to use your money, uh, getting a lot of liabilities rather than active income. This is
Hmm.
something that I want to share with you. From this broadcast, we always tell you to the entrepreneurs. See, the entrepreneurs, they have a business, and then when business start to make money, they reinvest in the business. And the business start to make money, they reinvest in the business. Uh, and then one day, COVID happens, a market change drastically, AI software appears, something happened, and then you're out of business in less than a month, and then you lose everything and you need to start from zero. And from this broadcast, we always send this message to the entrepreneur. How about if you make profit and maybe 50% of this money, 60% of this money, let's say you go and buy a property, you go and buy an asset, and then with the rent that a property is giving you, you can use that money for marketing. So what could happen? What could happen if in the future you have a drastic change, you still have that asset that is producing you income, and even if you go out of business, you have a safety net. But for that, we need financial education, which is actually what you specialize. So one more, uh, what message then you have now for the entrepreneurs that they are so in love with the business that sometimes they don't realize that despite that the business is going good, despite that it's doing amazing, at the end of the day, it's business, and they have to learn how to diversify and how to manage the wealth. Don't
Hmm.
wait, because a lot of entrepreneurs, what happened, the common path is that everybody grow the business and they wait until they're gonna have an exit, and after they have this ton of money, and then some of them that
Yeah.
time is when they start how gonna keep my wealth, keep my finance. But if you plan while you have in the business, you have better chance, because not always you can exit the business.
Well, I
And
mean, if
then,
you exit the
yeah, go ahead.
business, what are you gonna do?
There you go. Exactly.
Like, there was an interview with Mark Zuckerberg. He's like, they were offered like, I think $1 billion for Facebook, which that'd be a good payday. And he was like interviewed. He was like, well, if I sold Facebook, what would I do all day? So they didn't sell. And obviously they made the right choice. But I mean, when you sell a business, I mean, it's nice to get a big windfall and then you're excited for a moment. But after that moment's over, what do? You
Mhm.
just gave up an asset that produces money for money that produces something, but
No,
probably not as much as what a
well,
business could
this
produce.
money you have to put it to produce, otherwise you will have nothing. Because even with a billion, you will spend it if you don't put this money to work. So the whole point is put get the money for work. Let's go there. Yeah. For example,
Well, do you
you
want the
describe
money? You got to look at it like two ways. Do you want money or do you want an asset? They're two
exactly.
different things. I mean, money is technically it's an asset class, but do you want something that produces money or just money? You
Mm-hmm.
want something that produces money, and that's where a
100%.
lot of people don't understand. I mean, Warren Buffett's been rich for a long time, but I mean, he's made 99% of his wealth after the age of 60. Obviously, people thought he was old when he was 60. Now he's in his 90s. Now he actually is like very old, but it's like delaying that gratification so that you can allow this enterprise, allow your vision to actually materialize so that it starts giving you repeated recurring revenue over time that's growing at a
Mhm.
at a pace faster than what prices are going up.
Yeah. And then what vehicles, Joshua, what vehicles entrepreneurs can have that produce money? We talked today, okay, if you invest in property, well, you can rent this property and then you can have cash flow and income. Um,
Well, I
so
mean, the first
one
one
more
is
vehicles.
reinvesting into your business. You got to keep reinvesting into your business. And then once your business starts having something called retained earnings, meaning is your company profitable or is it not profitable? If it's not profitable, you have no retained earnings, meaning cash that remains inside the business after everything's paid. If you
You
start,
don't have a business, you have a hobby if you're not making profit.
well, I mean, there's companies, especially like technology companies. Amazon is famous for always pretty much operating at a loss every year because they keep aggressively reinvesting into
Reinvest it.
their business. And then eventually, when they became profitable, the share price skyrocketed.
Wow. Mhm.
So, I mean, running a business at a loss is not a bad thing. It's just what's your path to profitability?
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Because
depending
once
what.
you have profits in a business, now you have a business model where that asset is worth, could be worth
So let's go
five
there. When you make
times.
profit in this business, what you do with that profit?
Now, I most of it is reinvested into the business. So
Mhm.
that's through software, that's through assistants, it's through people who take tasks off my plate. So that way
Mhm.
I'm not doing everything. It could be painful at times because sometimes you're like, man, I'm paying all this money. I kind of want that money for myself right now.
Mhm.
However, when you think about it, you're like, well, now I have a lot of time on my hand where I can just literally, like yesterday, I took all afternoon to just think and
Mhm.
hang out
So
outside.
how about take the profits and parallel to reinvest in the business, also reinvest in another vehicles to diversify
Well,
your risk?
I mean, the
Because
vehicles would be,
if you go out of business, then
well, the goal is not to go
and
out
you
of
put all the
business.
money and you put the money inside that business, then you end up with zero. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you want to keep reinvesting in the business. So, I mean, you want to hire people, you want to invest in infrastructure, and you want to create what's called like a moat around your business to protect the business. So, like, for example, like Google, it's called Alphabet because they own a bunch of different companies. So,
They
if they own a bunch of
diversify.
different companies, then if
Yeah.
one doesn't do well, then
Exactly.
it doesn't hurt as bad.
Exactly.
But you got to
That's the
focus
point we
on the
want.
main thing.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that the Google, deep bit companies, even Facebook, they have um, they have operating acquiring different companies like Facebook acquired, let's say WhatsApp and things like that. So what
Hmm.
they doing is they are consolidating the business and they are kind of diversifying, yeah, or open different stream of income. So like this, they can diminish the risk. I think that at the beginning, the entrepreneurs growing the business, you reinvest in the business, but when this business go to profitability, um, it's good idea to look another ways, another that can another assets that can produce you cash flow because like I said, the being in business, I'll tell you because I have so many. I have restaurant, I have property business. It's it, it's something that it have a life span, but sometimes the business won't outlaw you, and you have to be, you need to know when you're going in, when you're going out, when it's time to exit, and when is uh, time to look at another vehicles that can produce you cash flow because if you have a sustaining way that you build that wealth, like what you're describing, wealth management, if you know how to manage your wealth effectively, then you can kind of become bulletproof because if something doesn't work, you have money coming on from another sources, right?
I mean, that's the goal is the more ways that you could help a potential client gives you more opportunities for the future versus if you just have, you know, like McDonald's sells more than just hamburgers. They started off just basically hamburgers, fries, and soda. Now they sell a lot of
Wow,
different things.
absolutely.
Um, I mean, recently I think they started offering like breakfast all day or something like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I mean, over time, your company has to evolve. You figure out who your client base is, and then you adjust your strategy based on who's coming to your business versus we've always done it this way. So we're going to continue always doing this way. Just like, if I sent you in the woods with a hatchet and I go out in the woods with the chainsaw, who's going to be able to chop down more trees?
Mm.
But if you're like, we've always chopped down trees with an axe, why would I change? It's like, well, everything's always adjusting and evolving, and you have to know when to invest in technology or people or acquire a different business to put inside your business so that you can continue to grow over time at a reasonable rate of return without putting your business in harm's way.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your business? What can you help your client with?
Yeah, we help educate people on the best ways to grow their wealth. So it could be from coming up with financial strategies, helping business owners with business strategies, all the way to managing people's wealth. So there's a lot of different ways we could assist people. So when we get someone, we have all these different, I guess you want to call them menu items, and
Mhm.
that allows us to attract people and be able to help people, especially if they're struggling. And if we can get them on track and help them make more money, then they'll be coming back in the future for us to help them with more things as well. Versus the larger investment firms can't do what we do, and we can't do what the larger investment firms do. So we just focus on what we do well versus what other people do well.
Yeah, and I think that businesses is very interesting because sometimes someone from outside can see better than the people inside the business. I think that sometimes when you're playing chess with a friend, they always said the outsider sometimes can see better than the people that are inside because they are working. People could be working on the business. In the business rather than own the business, and an external help can give a better sense of direction, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just hired someone the other day. They charged $1,500. I had an hour with them. They gave me a couple good ideas. I'm going to take those ideas and hopefully make more than $1,500 on those ideas rather than me attempting to come up with all the ideas myself. Why don't I just pay someone a flat fee and see if they come up with anything good?
Hmm. Absolutely, and when it comes to the information, the people think uh, oh, you paying 1,500 an hour. That's a lot of money. Yeah, I'm telling you because my fee per hour is 2,500, and the people say, "Wow, but Harry, that's a lot of money." I said, "Well, it's not about the time. It's about the knowledge and the experience that I will share with you in that time frame where what is worth." And I think that this is what is important. So for me, I don't mind to pay 1,500 per hour to any consultant, even more, because I know that if this is the right person, is gonna in that time frame can release a piece of information that can literally accelerate any business, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's less of a risk than hiring the wrong person.
It's less than and more risk trying to do it yourself without knowing, because this is what I know. Trial and error. Uh, that is expensive, very expensive, and it takes you way longer to arrive there. So why, Joshua, when you're working in corporate America, you started to save? You actually really wanted to live. It was a little bit risky to live even without a plan, without how gonna make money. You just save, and you decide to leave corporate America. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. A little bit
Well, I
risky.
mean, my expenses were
Yeah.
really low because I was
Hmm.
living with roommates. I did a good job of saving money. So
So tell us
I
about this
figured,
journey when you have no money and you have to make money. That's what I'm interested in. So now that's it. You left corporate America. You have no money. You have the money that you save, and now you have to figure out how to make money. Tell us what happened. Did you read any book? Did you work with any coach? Do you have any friend that guide you? How was this process?
well, I figured out how much money do I need to make a day to like be able to
Ah, that's very good for
survive.
starting.
So
So how
I was
much?
like, I
How
only,
was that figure? How was that? How much was that you had to make in the day back then?
I was like, if I could make at least $20 a day, I'll be okay.
I can cover my
So
expenses.
what I would do is I signed up to be an Uber driver
Mm-hmm.
and I would do airport rides and I would go pick up people in nice neighborhoods and drive them to the airport and I just talk with them.
You make more money than 20 per day. I'm under the impression doing this, no?
Well, I mean, you have some expenses, but the goal is just $20 a day. That way it's
Okay,
like, all right, I can get this done in maybe an hour. And then the rest of the
that's
day I
it.
can focus on
Very good. In how to make
building
more.
the enterprise. So it's like, all right,
Very good.
$20, my expenses for the day are covered. I can go buy
And
food.
also, hold on 1 second. And then this is a different concept because now your card is not a liability, it's an asset. It's producing you money.
Exactly.
So now you don't have a liability. You have the card become also an asset for you, right?
Yeah, it makes you
Uh,
money.
exactly. Because, yeah, you said, well, I have some expenses. Yeah, but those expenses, maybe you need to buy tires for the car, you need to buy gas, you need to buy stuff for this car. But hey, you actually need the car for you, right? So now your mini business, your mini Uber business, it turn your card from a liability to an asset, right? That's a very good concept to start to build wealth sustainable. Yeah. So what else you
Yeah,
need?
well, you
This
have
is a
no
very good start. This is a very
have
good
no
start.
well, we have no customers, we have no marketing strategy. I don't know how to do that, so I had to figure out like, all right, how can I make easy money? And driving for Uber is easy money, and most of
How
the
about
time,
the
if you're not,
friends? How about your friends that telling you, man, come back to corporate America? There is not such a thing that easy money. You crazy. The only way of getting good money is working hard. Um, Forget about this easy money thing. This is
I
not
mean,
gonna
driving
work.
Uber is pretty easy. You just turn on your
Yeah.
phone and
So
you
do you have
wait.
any friends? Do you have any friend, any colleague that try to tell you to bail out this strategy and to come back to corporate America? You told me some friends told you that they were thinking that you were stupid because you leave corporate America, right?
They did. I just didn't listen to them.
How you manage to don't listen to them? Where
I
do
mean,
you find the
I did.
strength? Because if you have everybody surrounding you telling you you're doing something wrong, because being an entrepreneur is a very lonely journey. You have to have a lot of self-confidence. Yeah, you have to believe in you big time.
Well,
Uh,
it's
so
just
where do you find the
when you
strength?
have,
Or do you have another bunch of friends that actually believe in you? I said, look, you're gonna make it. Continue to this path. You go in because what is important, Joshua, is the concept. Even with you with no money, you have you started to build wealth with very powerful concept, which is turning your car from a liability to an asset. This I find it brilliant. How old were you when you did this?
how old was I,
Where,
or
yeah, yes, when you were doing this.
I mean, it was right when I left.
So 20, 30 years old.
I was 27.
Look at this. So at the 27 years old, something shift because now you're making money, but from your own asset that you created from your own vehicle. So now your mind is start to change.
Well, being an Uber driver gives you flexibility too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can wake up at 5 in the morning, get an airport
Mm-hmm.
ride, someone
You
going
wake
to
up
the
whatever
airport
you
early.
want, you do whatever you want. Yeah. Okay, so now that this concept work for you, now what you start to think is how can I do more of this? how can I create more assets that produce me money easy? Yeah, that was your next goal. Yeah. So
Well, the
how
Uber
was you
driving
saying?
was just to get anything is better than zero.
Absolutely.
So that
Well,
was just to
you
like have
were
a little
covering
money
your
coming
expenses.
in while I
Hmm.
was focusing on building the business. And then eventually, you have someone reach out to you like, hey, I need help with this. It's like, all right, I got one client this month. That's good. Now let's make my goal to get one client every month. And
Wow.
then you
And you
start
were
building it
helping
up.
these clients, like helping them grow in the business, helping them with the manage the wealth. So what type of job were you doing for those clients?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was mostly like financial and retirement planning. And then as I gained more skills, the amount of areas I could assist people with began to
Mhm.
grow, such as helping them with tax strategies, helping them with business strategies, all those things that I had to learn outside of corporate America, because at corporate America, your goal is just to do your job. When you create a business, now you have to learn business inside
Yeah.
and out.
Mhm.
So, I
That.
mean, if you make a lot of money at your current job and you're a top performer at that job, I would challenge anyone to say go out in the streets and see how easily you can get someone to give you money for something in return.
Mhm. Okay. So then, Joshua, if someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works, can you tell us?
Yeah, you can just find me on your favorite social media platform. Just type in Joshua Krafchick, or you can Google 369financial.com and check it out. And if you're interested, you could schedule a meeting. If you're not interested and you just want to follow me on the journey, just hit me up on social media. There's no pressure.
Thank you so much, Joshua. I think that today we have touched very good points for the entrepreneurs out there. So don't wait until you exit your business in order to plan your wealth, to plan your finance. You need to have a clear plan. Once you're making this profit in your business, how you're going to reinvest this profit. Yeah. Could be in the same business, could be in a business that add more services to what you currently have, but also could be different vehicles like property or or the stock market. The whole point is that that profit, that money that you are making, you have to put it uh, right away back to work because like they say, the word of Wall Street, more money never sleeps. Yeah. So money never sleeps, and with the right vehicle and with the right due diligence or with the right mentor that can guide you in how you can find different vehicles to diversify this wealth, that you can build for yourself a very safety net. And if something goes sour in one business or in one of the business, then you have always um, a backup plan. So thank you so much, Joshua, for this broadcast. Is amazing, and I wish you the best. And for all of you following uh, Unstoppable podcast, see you in our next episode. How brave entrepreneur like Joshua break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.